Toxic relationships, especially with narcissists, can leave us questioning our reality and worth. But what if, despite the pain, God is using this experience to reveal the truth, protect you, and guide you toward freedom? As the Stoics would say, the obstacle is the way. What seems like a roadblock can actually be the path to growth. In today's video, we'll explore what happens when God separates you from a narcissist and how this painful yet liberating process leads to healing and growth. We'll dive into the illusions narcissists create, the truth God reveals, and how divine intervention helps you reclaim your identity and purpose. Stay with me, and I'll show you how to break free from the cycle of abuse and rebuild your life with strength and wisdom, rooted in Stoic principles. Number 1, the illusion and truth revelation. Narcissistic relationships are built on carefully constructed illusions, layers of deception and manipulation that keep you entangled in a web of false promises and false realities. The narcissist often comes into your life with an irresistible charm, a magnetic energy that draws you in. They make you feel seen, loved, and valued, as if you are their entire world. In these early stages, you may feel like you found your perfect match, the person who fulfills all your emotional needs. But as the relationship progresses, cracks begin to appear, and you slowly start to sense that something is off. The love and affection you receive are not unconditional, but rather are contingent on your obedience, admiration, and validation of the narcissist's sense of self-worth. For a narcissist, relationships are not partnerships based on mutual love and respect, but tools for control and self-enhancement. They make you feel special to draw you closer, and then they use that closeness to demand more attention, more validation, more emotional energy. What feels like love is in reality an ongoing manipulation designed to secure their control over you. But narcissists are also masters of deception, and in the moment, it can be nearly impossible to see through their tactics. Their charm and allure create an illusion of safety, affection, and importance, leaving you entranced by what appears to be an ideal connection. However, God intervenes when the time is right, and He separates you from this toxic dynamic. This intervention can feel jarring at first. It's like stepping into the blinding light of truth after a long period of darkness. The illusion, which has enveloped you for so long, starts to unravel, and what you once believed to be love reveals itself for what it truly is: a carefully constructed house of cards built on manipulation, control, and deceit. This revelation can be disorienting and painful. You might feel betrayed, lost, or even ashamed of how long it took for you to see the truth. But as painful as this process is, it's a necessary step toward healing. Just as a Stoic would say, the obstacle is the way. The suffering you feel in this moment is not without purpose. It is the path that leads to your freedom. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us that what stands in the way becomes the way. The truth you now see, though it feels like an obstacle, is actually the means by which you will find your way out of the darkness. It is important to understand that this truth, though painful, is not a sign of weakness or failure. Rather, it is the beginning of your liberation. The narcissist's false narrative about you, the lies they've convinced you to believe, and the emotional manipulation that held you captive for so long are all being stripped away. And yes, the truth can feel harsh. It can feel like a blow to the chest, a loss of something you once held dear. But this is where Stoic wisdom shines. The Stoics believe that we cannot control the world around us, but we can control how we react to it. What's important is how you respond to the truth. Do you allow it to empower you, to set you free? Or do you shrink back into the illusion, clinging to something that was never truly yours? The Stoic mindset encourages us to see life's challenges as opportunities for growth. While the narcissist may have kept you in a state of constant emotional turmoil, the truth, no matter how painful, provides the clarity you need to break free. God is revealing this truth to you not to hurt you, but to prepare you for what lies ahead. It is through this painful awakening that you will find the freedom to heal, rebuild your sense of self-worth, and step into a life that is no longer defined by manipulation or deceit. When God separates you from the narcissist, it's not just about exposing the illusion of their love. It's also about revealing the truth about who you are. Narcissists often work to dismantle your self-worth, making you feel small, unworthy, or dependent on them for validation. But the truth that God reveals in this moment is about your inherent worth and value. You are not defined by the narcissist's perception of you. You are defined by God's love and your own intrinsic value. This truth doesn't just free you from the narcissist's control. It frees you from the false beliefs that kept you bound to their narrative. It's painful, yes, but remember, growth often comes through discomfort. The truth may sting in the moment, but it's the very thing that will set you free. Just like the Stoics teach us, embracing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be, leads to strength, clarity, and resilience. And though the truth may burn at first, in the end, it is the light that will guide you toward healing, self-reclamation, and the freedom you've longed for. Number 2, post-separation hoovering. Breaking free from a narcissist doesn't mark the end of the battle. In fact, it's often just the beginning of a new struggle. Narcissists are notorious for using a tactic known as hoovering, named after the vacuum cleaner brand, because it's their attempt to suck you back into their world of manipulation and control. Once you've made the difficult decision to separate, they may try to pull you back using a variety of methods: false promises, guilt trips, playing the victim, or even pretending to change. At first, these attempts may seem convincing. They might apologize profusely, tell you how much they've changed, or promise that things will be different this time. They might appeal to your compassion, reminding you of all the good times you shared and the emotional bond you once had. But don't be fooled. Narcissists rarely change. The illusion they presented to you before was never about love. It was about control. And just like before, the moment you let your guard down, they will begin the cycle again, drawing you back into their web of deceit and manipulation. This is where God's intervention becomes incredibly significant. While the narcissist's manipulations may feel strong and convincing, God often places roadblocks in your path to prevent you from returning to the toxic cycle. These roadblocks might manifest in various forms: unexpected circumstances that make it difficult to reconnect, the narcissist's behavior becoming even more toxic than before, or even emotional blockages that make you physically or mentally unable to engage with them. These divine interventions are not always gentle comforts. They are often forceful and direct, keeping you from falling back in old patterns. From a Stoic perspective, this is a critical moment in your journey. The Stoics taught that we are often faced with external forces beyond our control, but the true test is in how we respond to them. When the narcissist reaches out, trying to draw you back into their orbit, this is your opportunity to exercise the Stoic virtue of self-control. You are no longer the person you once were, someone who was susceptible to manipulation and emotional dependence. Through this separation, you've been given the opportunity to reclaim your own agency and practice restraint in the face of temptation. One of the core Stoic teachings is the idea of internal freedom, the ability to remain calm and resolute, regardless of the external circumstances. This principle is particularly important when dealing with hoovering attempts. You might feel the pull of guilt or desire to help the narcissist, but it's important to remember that your duty is not to their well-being, but to your own healing and growth. You must set boundaries and stay firm in your decision to move forward. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Similarly, freedom from the narcissist consists not in maintaining a relationship with them, but in learning to live without the need for their approval or affection. God's protection in this phase is vital. These roadblocks and divine interventions may not always be visible at first, but over time, you'll begin to see how they've been guiding you away from harm. They create the necessary distance between you and the narcissist, ensuring that you do not return to the abusive cycle. It might feel frustrating at times, and you may even be tempted to question whether you made the right choice, but trust that these divine blockages are God's way of keeping you safe and steering you toward a healthier path. Through this process, you'll begin to understand the Stoic concept of amor fati, love of fate. Even when things don't go as you expect, even when the narcissist tries to pull you back, you learn to love the journey, to accept it as part of your growth. These obstacles, these roadblocks, are not things to fight against, but things to embrace as part of your healing process. Every time you resist the urge to return, you are strengthening your inner resolve and deepening your understanding of your own worth. God's intervention is your shield, and your ability to resist the narcissist's advances is the sword. Through both, you are being protected from returning to a place of harm. Trust in this divine protection and let it guide you toward a future free from the narcissist's control. Number 3, withdrawal and disorientation. After the separation, the withdrawal can feel like an intense and overwhelming storm. It's as though you've been addicted to the narcissist's emotional highs and lows, and now without them, you experience a kind of detox, both psychological and spiritual. Just like someone recovering from substance abuse, you may find yourself facing feelings of emptiness, confusion, loss, and even a desperate longing to return to the relationship, despite knowing deep down it was toxic. The emotional cravings are powerful, and they can make you question if you made the right decision. This period of withdrawal is incredibly painful, but it is also one of the most critical phases of healing. Narcissists systematically dismantle your sense of self-worth and identity, leaving you dependent on their validation. Without them, you may feel unmoored, disconnected, and uncertain of who you are. But here's where God's intervention plays a crucial role. Though the pain of withdrawal is intense, it's also part of the process of detoxifying from the manipulation, the gaslighting, and the false beliefs that the narcissist instilled in you. It's God's way of purging the emotional toxins that have been building up over time, and making space for your true self to emerge. This is also where Stoic philosophy becomes incredibly valuable. The Stoics understood the importance of accepting discomfort as part of the human experience. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." The emotional pain you're feeling may seem unbearable, but remember that it is not a sign of failure or weakness. It's a natural response to the process of healing. The Stoics believe that our true strength comes from facing adversity head-on, embracing it as part of life's journey. So instead of resisting the pain or trying to escape it, allow yourself to feel it, knowing that it is a necessary part of your transformation. This stage can feel like an identity crisis. Who are you without the narcissist? What value do you hold if you are no longer defined by the relationship? The Stoic principle of ataraxia, the state of inner peace and freedom from distress, becomes essential here. Instead of looking for external validation, you must learn to cultivate internal peace by focusing on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. The pain and disorientation you feel are temporary, but your response to them will determine your path to healing. Remember that healing is not linear. There will be days when the pain feels unbearable, and the urge to return to the narcissist is overwhelming. But this, too, is part of the process. As you go through withdrawal, you'll slowly begin to reclaim your sense of self. It's not going to be easy, but with every passing day, you'll feel stronger, more grounded, and more aligned with who you truly are, not the distorted version the narcissist created. During this time, God is at work, helping you navigate through the storm. The pain you're experiencing is not a sign to return to the relationship, but evidence that healing is underway. The withdrawal is uncomfortable, yes, but it's also purifying. Just as a muscle grows stronger by being stretched and torn, so too will your spirit grow stronger by facing and overcoming this withdrawal. In the end, as painful as this process is, it's a necessary step toward reclaiming your true identity. It's a step toward freedom, toward a life where you are no longer dependent on the narcissist's validation, but instead rooted in your own worth and God's truth about you. Like a Stoic, you must remain steadfast, knowing that this discomfort will lead you to greater clarity, strength, and inner peace. Embrace the journey, because on the other side of this storm lies a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and unshakable. Number 4, reclaiming identity. One of the most devastating consequences of being in a narcissistic relationship is how the narcissist systematically dismantles your identity. Over time, they distort your sense of self, manipulate your beliefs, and leave you feeling dependent on their validation. In a narcissistic relationship, you are not seen as a whole person, but as a means to feed the narcissist's ego. They strip away your confidence, your autonomy, and your ability to see yourself clearly, constantly creating a false narrative about who you are and what you're worth. When the relationship ends, this false identity is left in shambles, and you may feel lost, wondering who you truly are without the narcissist's influence. But this is where God's healing power begins to step in. The process of reclaiming your true identity is not instant, and it's certainly not easy, but it is deeply transformative. It's a journey of rebuilding what was broken, reconnecting with the truth of who you are as created by God, and rejecting the lies the narcissist imposed upon you. This is a time to embrace the Stoic principle of self-mastery, the ability to define your own worth, independent of the external forces or people that once shaped your self-perception. The Stoics believed in focusing on what we can control, and in this moment, you have the ability to reclaim your identity. The narcissist narrative about you was never true. It was a fabrication designed to keep you small and dependent. Now, through the pain of separation, you have the opportunity to reconstruct a more accurate, healthier self-image based on the truths God has instilled in you. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The narcissist's lies only have power if you allow them to continue to shape your self-concept. You must consciously choose to reject these false beliefs and replace them with God's truth about your worth. This journey of reclaiming your identity also involves recognizing and accepting your inherent worth, which was never tied to the narcissist's approval or validation. You are more than what they told you you were. You are more than the mistakes, the failures, or the trauma they caused. You're a child of God, uniquely created with purpose, love, and value that no one can take away. Stoicism teaches that true happiness comes from within, from living in accordance with our values and virtues, not from the approval of others. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest beliefs and living with integrity, regardless of how others may see you. The process of rebuilding your self-worth is not just about rejecting the narcissist's narrative. It's also about embracing the truth of your own story. God has been with you every step of the way, even when you couldn't see it. Now you have the chance to reconnect with the person you were always meant to be. You can shed the layers of self-doubt, insecurity, and confusion that the narcissist built up over time and step into a life where you define who you are. One of the most powerful tools in this healing process is learning to redefine your relationship with yourself. The narcissist's abuse may have made you feel unworthy or inadequate, but that's not who you truly are. You are deserving of love, respect, and compassion, not because of anything the narcissist gave or took away, but because of who you are in God's eyes. By meditating on this truth and accepting it in your heart, you begin to build a new foundation for your identity, one that is unshakable and rooted in God's truth. The Stoic idea of inner tranquility also plays a role in this reclamation. As you rebuild your sense of self, there will be moments of uncertainty and doubt. But like a Stoic, you must remain calm and grounded in the face of these challenges. Your identity is not up for negotiation. It's defined by your intrinsic value, which cannot be shaken by external forces. When you encounter doubts or old patterns from the narcissist trying to creep back in, you must remind yourself that you are the master of your own self-perception. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You have the power to reshape your life and identity, and by aligning with God's truth, you are building a new, stronger foundation. Ultimately, reclaiming your identity is about reclaiming your power. The narcissist may have tried to make you believe you were nothing without them, but through God's grace and your own inner strength, you will rediscover who you truly are. This process of rebuilding and self-empowerment is not quick or easy, but it is one of the most empowering journeys you will ever embark on. You are not defined by the past. You are defined by the choices you make today, by the truth you embrace, and by the person you are becoming in God's eyes. Number 5, divine protection via blockages. As you continue to heal and rebuild after breaking free from the narcissist, you may encounter moments where it feels like the doors to reconciliation are being closed in your face. These blockages, whether they appear in the form of circumstances, burned bridges, or an emotional inability to engage with the narcissist, are not random or coincidental. They are part of God's divine protection, safeguarding you from falling back into the harmful cycle of manipulation and control. At first, these blockages may seem frustrating or even unfair. You might feel as though you are being held back from something you once wanted or needed. The narcissist may try to reach out again, or you may find yourself tempted to re-engage, to reconnect, and to revisit the past. However, it's in these moments that you must trust that these blockages are God's way of preventing you from returning to a place of harm. These barriers might feel harsh, but they are ultimately acts of divine mercy, keeping you from further emotional devastation. The Stoics believe that we are not always in control of external circumstances, but we do have control over how we respond to them. The blockages you encounter are beyond your control, but how you handle them can be a reflection of your growth. The Stoic principle of amor fati, which means love of fate, teaches that we should not resist what comes our way, but rather accept it as part of our journey. Instead of fighting against these divine interventions, embrace them as part of God's plan to protect you and guide you toward a healthier, more fulfilled future. Think of these blockages as the necessary steps in your spiritual growth. In the Stoic view, hardship is not something to be feared or avoided. It is a tool for building resilience and wisdom. By encountering these obstacles and accepting them as part of your journey, you are learning to let go of attachment to the past and opening yourself to a future filled with peace and self-discovery. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." These blockages may seem like obstacles, but in truth, they are leading you to a greater understanding of yourself and the divine protection that surrounds you. These divine blockages also serve a spiritual purpose. Sometimes the hardest lessons in life are learned through the pain of separation and the act of letting go. The narcissist, though they may have played a significant role in your life, does not have the power to dictate your future. God, in His wisdom, is closing those doors to protect you from returning to a toxic, abusive relationship. Trust that His plan is greater than anything you may want or desire in the moment. By closing these doors, He is not only preventing further harm, but also guiding you toward the freedom and wholeness that you were always meant to experience. As you move forward, remember that God's protection often looks different than we expect. It's not always a gentle hand guiding you through. Sometimes it's a firm blockade, a forceful barrier, keeping you from returning to old patterns. These blockages are signs of God's active role in your life, preventing you from regressing into old habits, false beliefs, or relationships that no longer serve you. Trust in His guidance and know that even when things feel difficult or painful, He is watching over you, leading you toward your healing and liberation. In moments of doubt, when the pull of the narcissist seems strong, remind yourself of the Stoic idea of eudaimonia, a life lived in accordance with virtue and reason. Reconnect with your purpose and values and know that God's protection is a vital part of your journey toward true peace and fulfillment. These blockages are not obstacles. They are acts of divine intervention designed to keep you safe, strong, and moving forward. Number 6, pain repurposed. The pain you've endured in the narcissistic relationship is real, deep, and incredibly challenging. It's easy to feel like it's just wasted suffering, something to push through, forget about, or get over as quickly as possible. But in reality, God doesn't waste pain. Every tear, every moment of heartache, and every difficult lesson you've learned through the abuse has a purpose. In God's hands, your suffering becomes a source of strength, wisdom, and resilience that will serve you and others in ways you can't yet imagine. This is where the profound Stoic idea of virtue through adversity comes into play. The Stoics taught that challenges, hardships, and suffering are not things to avoid, but opportunities to build character. Marcus Aurelius believed that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What seems like an obstacle, a deep wound, or a source of pain is actually a way forward, a path toward greater strength and deeper understanding. Similarly, in the Christian faith, suffering is not meaningless. It is through the pain of trials that God refines our hearts and minds, shaping us into the people we are meant to become. As the Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 5:3-4, "Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." Your pain has the potential to refine you, to mold you into a stronger, wiser person who can face life with courage and conviction. The narcissistic abuse you've experienced is not without meaning. As difficult as it may seem, it has prepared you for something greater. Your pain is qualifying you for a future that is brighter, more fulfilling, and more purposeful. Just like gold is refined in fire, your character is being shaped through the fire of this painful experience. God is using this time to strengthen you, to equip you with the wisdom, resilience, and discernment you will need to help others who may be going through similar struggles. Stoic philosophy also emphasizes the importance of wisdom gained from experience. When you go through something as traumatic as narcissistic abuse, you gain insights and perspectives that you would never have had otherwise. You understand the complexities of human behavior, the subtle ways people can manipulate and deceive, and the strength required to break free from toxic cycles. This wisdom can become a powerful tool for guiding others who are still trapped in abusive relationships. It's your lived experience that gives you a unique ability to help and offer support to those who are just beginning their own journey of healing. In this sense, your pain becomes a gift. It's a painful, difficult gift, but a gift nonetheless. It allows you to develop a deep empathy for others, to offer a listening ear, and to provide wisdom and comfort in ways that someone who has never experienced narcissistic abuse could not. You will be able to speak truth into others' lives, offering hope and encouragement from a place of genuine understanding. God uses our pain not only for our own growth, but also for the growth and healing of others. You may not see it now, but your journey of healing will empower you to help others walk through their own storms. Your story, your testimony, will become a source of inspiration and hope for those who feel like they are too broken to heal. You will show them that healing is possible, that redemption is real, and that pain, though it feels unbearable in the moment, can lead to an abundance of strength and grace. As you continue on this journey, remember that God doesn't waste a single tear. Every bit of suffering is shaping you into someone who can understand, empathize, and lead with compassion. Your pain is not the end of your story. It is just the beginning of a new chapter, one where you emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. Number 7, moving forward with freedom and purpose. After enduring narcissistic abuse and the painful process of healing, the journey doesn't end with just the avoidance of the narcissist. The true victory lies in stepping into a future filled with freedom, purpose, and peace. Narcissistic relationships are designed to entrap you, to keep you small, and to strip away your sense of self. But once you've broken free and reclaimed your identity, you have the opportunity to live a life defined by your own values, principles, and spiritual connection to God. This new chapter isn't just about escaping the past. It's about embracing a future that is aligned with your true self. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of eudaimonia, living a life of virtue, fulfillment, and purpose, becomes even more powerful after experiencing profound challenges like narcissistic abuse. You are no longer living for the approval of others, nor are you defined by your past or the lies that were told about you. Instead, you are free to pursue your highest potential and contribute to the world from a place of strength and wisdom. God has been with you through the darkness, and now He's guiding you into the light. This is where you get to rebuild your life from the ground up, with a foundation rooted in truth, self-respect, and the unwavering belief that you are worthy of all the good things that God has in store for you. As the Apostle Paul reminds us in Philippians 3:13-14, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize, for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. The future that lies ahead of you is not one defined by the trauma of the past, but one where you embrace your God-given purpose. This is your time to rediscover your passions, to pursue relationships that are healthy and life-giving, and to live in a way that honors your true self. Just as a Stoic would practice mindfulness and focus on what is in their control, you now have the power to shape your future by living intentionally and with integrity. You are no longer bound by the narcissist's control, and that freedom is a powerful tool for transformation. Moving forward with freedom means stepping into a new life where your choices reflect the person you have become, not the person the narcissist tried to make you. It's about knowing your worth, honoring your boundaries, and surrounding yourself with people who support and uplift you. This is a time to invest in yourself, your growth, and your well-being. In Stoic thought, independence and autonomy are key to achieving inner peace and fulfillment. After experiencing narcissistic abuse, the most liberating thing you can do is to reclaim your sense of self and no longer depend on the approval or validation of others, especially the narcissists. As you continue to grow in your healing journey, you will begin to see that your worth is not determined by anyone else's opinions or manipulations, but by your relationship with God and your commitment to living a virtuous, purposeful life. The Stoic view of the good life is one where we align ourselves with nature, reason, and virtue, rejecting external influences that seek to distort our character. For you, this means rejecting the toxic, narcissistic narrative that was forced upon you and stepping into a life where your identity is no longer defined by someone else's expectations. You are free to live as you were meant to live, according to the truth that you are worthy of love, respect, and peace. Ultimately, your journey from narcissistic abuse to freedom is not just about breaking away from someone else's control. It's about taking control of your own life, living with purpose, and embracing the future with confidence. This is your opportunity to redefine what happiness and fulfillment mean to you. Guided by the wisdom of Stoic philosophy and the unwavering truth of God's love for you. The road ahead will not always be smooth, but with God's guidance and your inner strength, you can walk confidently toward a life filled with freedom, peace, and purpose. Breaking free from a narcissistic relationship is more than escape. It's a spiritual journey that reveals truth, builds character, and leads to freedom and purpose. Through the pain, withdrawal, and healing, you emerge stronger and more connected to your true self. The narcissist may have tried to control and define you, but they cannot hold your future. God has a greater plan, one rooted in your worth, resilience, and ability to rise. As the Stoics say, the obstacle becomes the way. Every struggle has shaped the strong, wise person you are becoming. Trust God's guidance. The blockages you've faced are part of His path to peace and fulfillment. Your pain is not wasted. It equips you to offer hope to others. Your story reflects His grace and can light the way for those still in darkness. Continue your healing with confidence. You are worthy of love, purpose, and true freedom. Let Stoic wisdom and divine guidance lead you. Embrace your truth. Your future is waiting.